great editor once told me, an editor is only as strong as his archive. As editors, we need to compile hundreds of small files into one consistent, concise idea. Now, the biggest mistake I kept making when I started editing was the dreaded missing file. I fell victim to this over and over again until I adopted this system. Alright, so I'll be showing you the basics behind a numerical cascading system. The concept is quite simple, and when you get a hang of it, it'll become like second nature. To start off, we're going to create the year we're working in. So to do this, I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call it 2023. In this folder, I'll create a subfolder with the project we are currently working on. So for this, let's just call it Project X. When I create this folder, I'll put the working date ahead of the project title. So for example, it is currently February 16th. So what I'll do is I'll put 02-16 underscore project, all caps, underscore X. Now this will be where all of our working files will remain. Now you may ask yourself why I underscore instead of space. It's because historically not all applications and file systems read spaces very well, and for safety's sake I just tend to default to underscores. You can just call it habit. Continuing from here, I will start to implement our numbering system. So in this folder, I'll create the folder that houses all of our project files, so that will be first. So what I'll do is I'll create a new folder, and I will title it 00 underscore project, all caps, underscore files. Bam. Now this folder is meant to house all of the project files we may encounter when creating our finished sequence. So for me, my workflow most of the time orients itself around Premiere Pro, Adobe After Effects, and DaVinci Resolve. So for example, what I'll do is I will create a folder for each one of those softwares. So 01 underscore Premiere Pro. I will create another folder for DaVinci Resolve. 02 underscore DR. And then one for AE. 03 underscore AE. Now, this is where that numerical system really comes into play. Let's say your first project where you're doing all of your assembling and your primary NLE is Premiere Pro. You will always know, because it is labeled as 01, it will be at the very top of your folder system. The objective of this system is to always know where everything will be placed before you even enter said folder. Let's say I have multiple project files of varying dates. To make things a lot simpler, what I'll do is I will put a subfolder in here for older project files. This way, when I enter this project file, the first and only project I actually see is the one I am currently working on. Now let's take a few steps back. We're going to go back into our main project directory, and in here, typically I'll create other subfunctions for, let's say, other things that come in. We're going to create a new folder called 01, and in this folder we're going to house our media. So 01 underscore media. Now here, typically, let's say I'm working with multiple cameras, I'll create A underscore cam, and then let's say B underscore cam. Regardless of how many cameras you use to shoot your video, you will house all of them in an A, B, C, D camera list. If you want to further identify these, you can add camera make and model. Let's say A cam is a Red Komodo and B cam is a Blackmagic 6K Pro. Whatever you want to do, you can name these as adequately as you must. Now, what other things do I typically need when I create my videos? So here, typically for my videos, I require assets, graphics, images I pull from the internet. Anything of that sort will typically sit in a folder that I title assets. All of my assets would be held in this folder. Next, what else would I need when creating my videos? 03, let's call this music. For my final exports, I title these 99. Under 99, I have all of my exports held. So now everything will be here in this export container. So this is typically how I set up my folder archive for when I create a new project. Now that you know and understand the rules of this archiving system, you can break it any way you wish. You can use this freely and create something that is familiar and consistent for yourself. The whole idea of this whole system is to know exactly what you want and where it is at any given moment.